In my development, I took my father's estate as a basis. He had several garages, which he rented out for a penny. When I grew up, I decided to do business. I equipped my father's garages with everything necessary for reliable storage. Thus, I managed to rent them out much more expensive for commercial purposes. I was good at it, and I decided to develop in this business further. On the way to my first serious income, I met Adeline. This girl liked to spend her free time in the same cafe as me. Her beautiful chestnut curls fell gracefully on her beautiful shoulders. The first time I saw her was in a light pink blouse that suited her very well. This girl was pretty bright. She ordered a cappuccino for herself, sat down in her favorite place in the corner of the cafe, if it was not busy. I liked to see her with a serious face reading some magazine, eagerly peering at its pages with wide brown eyes. One day I plucked up the courage to go up to her and meet her. "Girl, hello, I'm not following you, I just see you here quite often. Do not take it for impudence and self-confidence, but I ordered your favorite drink and took your favorite place in this cafe. I would be pleased to meet you, then I will leave you, and you will sit in your favorite place and forget about me." I suddenly approached her as soon as she entered the cafe. "Young man, thank you very much. You just blew me away." The girl answered shyly. "I'm sorry, I talk a lot when I'm nervous. I'll probably go." I answered in embarrassment. "Well, what are you? I did not refuse you. I remember you, you also often like to sit in this cafe, reading a newspaper and drinking your little cup of coffee." The girl said with a smile. "Are you following me?" I joked back. "I think we're both following each other." "My name is Henry, what is your name?" I introduced myself. "My name is Adeline." A girl introduced herself. "It's very nice to meet you, Adeline. Then I hope you don't mind if I sit down at your table again." "What are you? Sit down, let's talk." This is how our first meeting went. We sat and talked. I managed to make a good joke several times. Adeline laughed for a long time. Then our communication became closer and closer. And it's been 17 years since we got married. My business became quite successful, so Adelina no longer needed to work. I created a unique storage system with very convenient logistics. I had huge warehouses where various equipment was stored. These were not just abandoned hangars on the edge of the city with rusty gates and a barn lock. There was a good security system in place. There were security cameras. Everything worked like clockwork. There were all the necessary conditions for storage, fast delivery of this equipment. I was approached by large chain stores that kept their goods with me. So I achieved what I wanted, and now I could enjoy life with my beloved wife. But Adeline behaved more and more impudently. She stopped appreciating the importance of money, as it was not easy for me to reach such heights. She began to ask me for more and more money, with which it was already possible to buy a huge house with servants. I decided cut her budget a little. "Honey, why are you so angry? Or have you forgotten that I earn this money, and you, like a black hole, suck in more and more irrevocably? Is that what you're missing? You already have so much more than anyone else." I spoke out indignantly. "Yes, there is, but I know that I can afford much more. And you definitely won't be disappointed." Adeline answered with impudence. "How are you even talking to me? Do you have any idea what I had to go through to achieve all this? How much effort I put into this? How hard it was to earn the first money? Oh, it has begun. I don't need to tell this story about poor Henry for the 100th time. Yes, you're just a miser, that's all." Adeline interrupted me and went into another room. It hurt me a lot to hear that. I did not notice how my wife turned from a kind and sympathetic girl into an insatiable kept woman, who was never enough, who was always dissatisfied with everything. I hoped that the moment would come when Adeline would come to her senses and begin to appreciate me and what she has now. Soon there was a global situation. I got a call from the warehouse. "Henry, good afternoon. It's Stephen." "Yes, Stephen, what happened?" "I just wanted to clarify how long the warehouse will be empty. This mass export of equipment was very unexpected. I wanted to clarify further actions, since no one has told me anything yet." "What else export?" I asked anxiously. "Well, cars arrived last night to pick up the goods. And now the warehouse is completely empty." "I don't understand, I'll be right there." I answered alarmed and jumped into the car. The warehouses were indeed empty. They showed me the documents, they all seemed to be in order. Only now the shipment was to a completely different place. I contacted the owners of the goods, no one took anything out and was not going to. I just turned white on the spot and almost fainted. It dawned on me that my warehouses were looted. It's just an incredible amount of money for which they could just kill me. Someone really set me up. I immediately turned to Stefan, he was my good friend from the police. I came to meet him. "Hey, Stefan." "Hello, Henry, now tell us in more detail how it all happened." "I do not understand how this could happen. All documents are drawn up as always, there are my signatures, seals. But in fact, these are not real documents. And someone else knew all the codes for electronic locks well, knew all the details, it's just unthinkable. And the security cameras are off. Someone here knew how everything works. Apparently, he worked really professional. But, Henry, from your words I understood one thing. It's definitely someone close to you. The one who could find out all these details and features of your warehouses, surveillance, security, access systems. You mustn't dismiss it, please think about it and don't be afraid to make even the wildest assumptions. Believe me, it is precisely such assumptions that are often the most correct. I'll investigate. Perhaps the goods are still in our city, hidden in another place. Okay, Stefan, I understand you, thank you. I returned home completely confused. I just didn't know what to do. How can I continue to live? My nerves were on edge, I did not know who from my environment could set me up so much. I didn't communicate with anyone so closely about my work, and almost no one had access to such information. Days passed, the investigation continued, lawyers began to put pressure on me, the case was very bad, I was literally not allowed to take a breath of air in peace. The phone was ringing. Stefan's words that I could have been set up by a person quite close to me could not get out of my head. And I had to think about my wife. She has been acting very strange lately, often leaving the house without telling me exactly where she went. She tried to support me in this situation, but I saw artificial support, she seemed to be pretending, this made me very worried. I felt that Adeline didn't care. She was not even very upset because of the realization that life might not be so rich anymore. Although the former Adeline would already have been hysterical, not understanding how she should live on. All this did not give me rest, and I decided to follow Adeline. At first, I followed Adeline, following her routes. But I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I was already starting to blame myself a little, that I had already completely lost my mind, I thought of suspecting my own wife. But one time Adeline went to a completely unfamiliar place. We have already left the city. We drove through the industrial area. There were huge buildings here, many of which were abandoned. Adeline stopped at the green gate and got out of the car. From behind the gate came the voice of the guard, Adeline answered him, the guard opened the gate, Adeline drove inside. I began to think about how I could sneak into the territory unnoticed. I got out of the car and began to inspect the fence. The fence was high, climbing was unrealistic, and barbed wire was still attached to the top. But the fence was far from new. I managed to find a weak spot where I could get inside without attracting attention. The guard was only at the gate. Bending over and bending my legs, I ran to the place where Adeline's car was parked. Nearby was a hangar with ajar gates. I made my way inside and was shocked. The hangar was completely littered with equipment that was stolen from me. The bitterness of the truth just took me by surprise. My brain couldn't make me feel any particular feeling. Everything was mixed up inside. I heard a conversation between Adeline and some peasant. "So, well, Rodrigo, are you sure everything is in order? Are we on time? Will deliveries go according to plan?" Adeline asked anxiously. "Mrs. Davis, everything is in order, everything is going according to plan. You don't have to worry, I've got it all. In a couple of days, the goods will begin to go abroad according to official documents. No one will be able to get to the bottom and detain the cargo." With an accent, this obese man answered my wife. "I really hope for it. Rodrigo, don't let me down. Otherwise, this story could end very badly for us." "Yes, Mrs. Davis. Do not worry." I filmed it all on my phone. Then I went after Adeline. We drove up to some private two-story house. Adeline went inside. It was already quite late, the light was on only on the second floor. I saw a growing tree nearby, in which one branch grew towards the window on the second floor. The branch was not strong enough, and it was very risky to climb on it. But I had to see and hear what was going on inside. I climbed a tree, got to the window along this branch. I saw my wife with some bastard in the room. The bastard sat in a chair with his head held high and watched lazily as Adeline paced nervously from one end of the room to the other. I turned on video recording on my phone. "Adeline, why the hell did you go there? Don't you understand that you can be under suspicion? They can follow you. You make mistakes when you're nervous. Calm down and don't do things like that again, you're setting us up." "Billy, I can't help myself. I had to go and make sure everything went according to plan. I'm already tired of enduring the restrictions of my husband. I'll take everything from him, and he will remain to deal with his problems. I will finally be free." "You will, dear, you will. The documents are already in my hands. I do not part with them, they are with me in this briefcase. Everything will be fine. We will send the stolen equipment from your stupid husband's warehouse far abroad. We will get great money, but we need to be patient a little more. The plan is perfect. Nobody will suspect anything. Now come here, I'll show you how to relieve stress," said this bastard and grabbed my wife by the ass, taking off her panties. I was angry and shocked. This bastard was fucking my wife right in front of my eyes. Suddenly I was alarmed by the barking of dogs. I was distracted and momentarily lost my balance and fell. Fortunately, I fell successfully, remained intact, but I had to quickly leave, since the dogs were not tied. I ran to my car and left. I drove for about half an hour and then stopped on the side of the road. Tears welled up in my eyes. My hands were on the steering wheel. I bent my head and rested on her hands, trying to comprehend everything that I just saw and heard. My greedy wife decided to just rob me, set me up. She absolutely did not care what would happen to me if she successfully took out the stolen goods. But now I won't let that happen. These bastards should have been held accountable for what they did to me. "Hello, Billy." "Yes, Rodrigo, what happened?" "Come to the warehouse with Mrs. Davis. The cars arrived ahead of time. We need documents and your presence. Why the hell did they arrive so early? Were they supposed to only the day after tomorrow? Billy asked angrily. Chief, I don't know, I'm in shock. Come. Rodrigo said, confused. Okay, now we'll arrive. Look around there, it's too suspicious. Billy answered. Adeline and Billy arrived at the warehouse. It was dark and empty inside. Rodrigo, where are you? Kevin, Michael, anyone? Billy asked warily, peering into the darkness. What the heck? Where is the product? What is happening? Billy yelled furiously. The product is where it should be. I shouted, running out of the darkness and properly loaded in the face of Billy with an iron pipe. What the heck? Billy asked, holding his bloodied mouth. Lie down and don't blather, scum, it's all over. And you, scum, why are you silent? Did not expect to see me here. I turned to my dumbfounded wife, who froze with fear, stood silently and trembled. Henry, please believe me, this man dragged me here by force, it's not my fault. Adeline suddenly exclaimed. What are you talking about? I answered, turning on the video on my phone where she was fucking Billy. You wanted freedom. So I let you go. Don't worry, you will continue to be a kept woman, only I'm afraid the conditions of detention will not be the same, since you bastards will go to jail. I shouted. Suddenly, the bright light of powerful lanterns came on. We were surrounded by a lot of police and special forces. I contacted my friend in advance. Everyone in this warehouse was arrested, and they even managed to take out the equipment. Rodrigo was forced to call Billy and lure him along with Adeline. Billy was seized of his fake documents for the goods. I handed over the video that I recorded. The arrested were excellent at testifying against each other to protect their own skins, but this only made matters worse. Everyone went to jail together. I settled all misunderstandings with partners. My warehouses were filled with goods again. I tightened up the security system and never let anyone fool me again. A successful revenge helped me calm down and let go of so many years of lies and hypocrisy.